This swirly chair is not a good idea. I want to keep going like this. Hello and welcome to my booktube. My name's Bay from Bay.Books and I am so excited to be here today. Today we're going to be going over my June reads and then also my July TBR. So July happens to just be my birthday month. So we're going to be picking prompts out of my TBR jar just like we did last year. But I'm really hoping that the jar is nice to me and I can pick some books that I am dying to read for my birthday month. It was really tempting to just mood read this month, but what kind of fun is it without a game, right? So why not challenge myself a little bit and pick from the jar one more time, see if I can actually stick with it, right? Before we jump into what picks I'm going to be reading for July, let's talk about what I read for June. So June, I was super busy, let me tell you. So I did not read as much as I was hoping to. So the first book that I want to talk about is Fruits Basket. This book was one that I picked for a book that I have borrowed. It was a manga pick, however you say it. I couldn't tell you. I did rate this 5 stars. For the second book in June, that pick was Crying in H Mart, and that was for most recent purchase. Now, I didn't happen to finish this book. I'm only about 60 pages in. I am actually really enjoying the book. I think the character, she's a real person. I really am loving the main character in this book, and I think her life struggles can be very relatable to a lot of people. And so I do think that this is going to be a great book for me to read throughout the rest of the year. Just not one that I'm going to be able to finish in the last few days of June, unfortunately. But I do have plans to get back to it before the end of the year, so do expect a review from this book. And the third book that I picked out for June was The Girl from the Sea. This was the graphic novel pick that I pulled last month, and I did rate that 5 stars. I did finish it. I thought that this book was extremely cute, and I was just rooting for the characters the entire time. I loved how much that these two characters really got along, but also how much angst they had between them. I think this book talked a lot about friendship and how friendship and relationships can also, collide and get a little jumbled up sometimes. So the next book on our list is Ace. This was a book for the prompt, a book that intimidates me. The reason why it intimidates me is because I started it last year and I have yet to finish it. I was probably only like 30 pages into this book going into it, so I really never made it that far. I would like to tell you that I'm not finished with it yet, but I have about 70 pages left, so I can almost guarantee that this book will be finished by the end of June, and I am loving this book. This book talks so much about ace representation, and if you don't know much about asexuality and you want to know more, this book, I highly recommend it. This book also has a lot of other representation in it, talking about people with disabilities and how sex might affect their lives, and then also people of different races and cultures. And it just talks about how sex is like so generalized, like everybody thinks everybody wants to have sex, or certain people can't have sex because they're disabled. I am probably going to be rating it 4 or 4.5, just depending on how it ends, but I'm leaning more towards 4.5 at this point. The last book on this list is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This book was picked for the 5 words or more prompt. Now, I didn't read this book. June was so busy for me that I didn't even try to pick it up, but again, this is one of my most anticipated books of 2023, so I really hope to get to it at least at some point in this year. So that was all of the books for our June TBR prompts. However, there was one book that I didn't get on that list, but I did need to read. It was Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This was my June book club pick for bays.reading.corner. I love that we happen to read this book this month because of everything that happened with the Titanic sub that imploded with all those people on it. Very sad. My heart goes out to those people, but it was such a weird coincidence that we are reading a book about people who are trapped in a submarine for months. I just thought that it was really interesting timing, at least, and I think it will make for a really fun discussion topic when we're actually discussing this in the coming week. My thoughts on it right now, I'm a little confused. So I'm about halfway through, which, you know, is a little over 100 pages. And that's typically the time it takes to get into most books for me is 100 pages. That's when you have most of the setup done. And so I am really enjoying this book, but at the same time, I don't really know where it's going and how it's going to, like, how the ending's going to affect my rating when it all comes down. So right now I'm sticking this at a solid 3 stars, and we'll just kind of see what end of the spectrum it goes towards by the end of the book. All right, so one last bit of housekeeping before we dive into our July TBR prompt picks. I want to talk about the books that I would like to get on this TBR in hopes that they actually happen. So fingers crossed. So the first book that I'd like to try and get on this TBR is She Started It. This book is by Sian Gilbert. I think I said that right. This was one of my book of the month picks from last month, and I have a friend who would really like to buddy read this with me, so I'd like to try and get this thriller onto my June TBR. July? I'd really like to try and get this thriller on my July TBR. All right, the next book that I'd like to get on this TBR is kind of unrealistic. The fact that I think that I can finish this book, that it's a little unpredictable. So the next book is the Mindfuck series. This is by St. Abbey. I've pretty much heard everybody talk about this book. Everybody seems to be obsessed with it. I've been wanting to read it for a long time, but it was like $40 on Amazon for this big, huge chunker. And so I just keep putting it off. Well, it went on sale, so I finally have a copy in my hands, and I really hope to be able to get to this as soon as possible. So if I can put it on July and at least chip away at it, then, you know, I'll be happy with that. But this book is huge. Luckily, the words seem to be fairly big, so hopefully it's not as intimidating as I think it's gonna be. The last book that I'd like to get on my July TBR is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This book is actually my July book club pick. I will be hosting this with one of my bestest friends. Her name is Emily, and I can't wait to finally read a romance for my book club. So no matter what, this book has to be read. So if I can fit a prompt and this book together, that makes my life 1,000 times easier. If you would like to read Delilah Green Doesn't Care with us next month, make sure to check out my Instagram for the book club, bays.reading.corner. The link will also be in the bio. Now it's time to actually pick our prompts for July. I did go ahead and put the prompts back that we used last month, so if they get picked again, they get picked again. All right, now it's time for my first prompt pick. Okay, a debut. This is one that I will probably need to look at Goodreads for really quick. Let me see what options I have. I'm sure I have quite a few debut books from Book of the Month that I can look into. So, a debut book. I don't know how to use this website very well. I only know the app. Is there like a debut? Ooh. I see a lot of books that I've tried once and just didn't love, so maybe not those. Oh, She Started It is a debut. She Started It. That's it. Okay. It turns out She Started It by Sian Gilbert happens to be a debut novel. This was one of the books that I really wanted to get on this TBR, so it looks like I will be doing a buddy read. Let's see here. Looking at the flap of the book, it says, "The party of a lifetime is nothing like what they expected." That's all I'm gonna read into the book. I know that it's a thriller. It's a party of a lifetime. It looks like me and Katie will be doing our buddy read this month, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. All right, and now it's time to pick out my second prompt. Okay, this one is a 3-word title. I am sure that I have a billion of these. Question: the Mindfuck series, does that count as 3 words? So for a 3-word title, I've got a couple options. The Mindfuck series, because I said I wanted to get this on there, but like, it's hefty, you know, And I don't know like if I can really consider that 3 words. I'm sure you can. It looks like 3 words. But it says series. Like, is series really part of the title? I don't know. Okay. The next book that I picked out that could be an option is This Delicious Death. I was kind of wanting to save this for like a video vlog idea, but I haven't really got into that space where I'm comfortable doing video vlogs of me reading. And so I don't know if I want to read this right now or if I save it for when I am ready to start vlogging about everything that I'm doing. So this is kind of iffy for me, but it is high on my list to read as well. So the last option that I pulled out is Heart Haunt Havoc. This one is super, super short. I love the cover. It's like 150 pages. It has like, let me show you if I can find the page. Has like super cute like artwork in it. Like those are cute little pancakes. So I think this one is kind of what I'm leaning towards right now, because it would be a super quick read that I should be able to fly through. And like, you kind of have to have some small books in order to finish your TBR, right? Looking at this pile, this stack that I've looked into, I'm gonna choose Heart Haunt Havoc. Now, I know I could have gotten the Mindfuck series on here, but I feel like I need a short book. I don't know if I'm ready to dive into an almost 700 page book right now. 150 seems more my speed. So we're gonna go with a Heart Haunt Havoc for the 3-word title prompt. And for my third prompt, oh, awesome. So another borrowed book. I believe I know exactly what I'm gonna do with this one. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna read Fruits Basket 2. So let me go get that book. So for a borrowed book, I'm gonna pick Fruits Basket 2. Last month, I actually read the first one for this exact same prompt. So why not stay on this ride and read the second one as well? I did enjoy the first one a lot. As I mentioned before, I rated it 5 stars. So I do have high hopes going into this book. I think I'm interested in watching the anime, but never really watched anime before. So maybe I'll just stick with the book. I don't know. All right, and now it's time for my 4th prompt. Let's see here. Oh, okay, that's great. So it's actually a book of the month pick. So I have a lot of book of the months that I need to catch up on, and that's like the main reason why I've put this in here in the first place. Okay, the books that I found for this prompt that I'm like kind of interested in, maybe leaning towards. The first one is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So I really want to do this author taste test vlog video for you guys about Abby Jimenez and her books, because I've never read any of her books, but I do own 3 of them. So I figured it would be perfect timing to read all 3 of those books and do a cute little vlog for you guys. But I'm just not at that place where I'm like comfortable doing vlogs yet, but I have ideas for them. So I want to save them. So maybe not quite leaning towards this book. The second book that I picked out for the book of the month prompt is The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. I read her first book, The Push, when it first came out. Absolutely loved it. I am a sucker for psychological thrillers that happen to have children in them. I really want to dive into this one, but do I want to add another thriller to my TBR? I feel like a lot of the reason why I'm in a slump right now is because I've been reading so many thrillers lately. I think I just need to give myself a break from thrillers and try something else. The last book that I picked out for the book of the month prompt that, I could lean towards reading is The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brommer. I think I said that right. If I remember correctly, I believe that this talks deeply about grief. And again, I don't know if I'm ready this month especially to read sad books. Like, I want to read something fun and intriguing. Am I wanting to read a book that's gonna make me cry this month? Like, is that what I want? Jeez, I don't know what I want to read. Okay, so I'm staring at my 3 books that I picked out for my book of the month. And I kind of think I'm leaning towards reading The Collected Regrets of Clover. I think I'm ready to cry. I think that's what I want this month. I think I want to cry. This is the one that I'm going to say I'm going to read. We'll see during the recap, right? All right, and for our fifth and final prompt, we're going to be looking for a book that includes mixed media. I'm sure I have tons of these books on my TBR right now on my shelves, but off the top of my head, I cannot think of one. Give me just a moment. Let me look at my books, and we'll see if I can find any that have mixed media on them, included in them. Mixed media. So after consulting Goodreads, it looks like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson has mixed media in it. So I'm going to be reading this one. And it is about dang time that I'm picking this book up. I've had countless people tell me how amazing this book is and how I need to read it. 5-star prediction right here. This is gonna be the winner. Can't wait for this one. All right, let's do a quick recap of everything that we picked out this month. We are going to be reading a borrowed book, so that's going to be Fruits Basket number 2, a book with mixed media, which is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, a 3-word title, which is Heart Haunt Havoc, a book of the month, which is The Collected Regrets of Clover, and then a debut novel, which is She Started It, which is also going to be a buddy read with one of my really good friends. So I cannot wait for this stack of books, and I truly hope to be able to get to all of them. And of course, I will be reading Delilah Green Doesn't Care, as it is my book club pick for July. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit it into any of the prompts that I pulled out of the jar, but I am going to be reading it regardless, and I cannot wait. So if you are interested in joining us, make sure to check out the link below for my book club and grab yourself a copy. All right, and that's a wrap for this video. Thank you so much if you made it this far. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you did enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next video.